Is this treason, you might ask? After all, questioning the High Lord of Dungeons and Dice, the supreme minstrel of monster mashing, the indomitable Matthew Mercer, seems blasphemous. But worry not, dear listener, this is no inquisition. This is a light-hearted romp through the land of what if, and a chance to reflect upon our games. Let's dive into the 5 things our beloved Matt Mercer might be doing wrong as a dungeon master. Number 1, the Mercer effect, a double-edged sword. Matt Mercer, why art thou so divinely talented? Lament many players, their eyes shining with reverence and sorrow. Mercer's unrivaled narrative finesse and mastery of character voices have set a high standard that most DMs feel intimidated by him. This effect, often called the Mercer effect, has unforeseen repercussions. As a DM, it can be hard to escape the shadow of the great Matt Mercer. While his style of storytelling, character voices, and mastery of mechanical rules have set the bar high for DMs worldwide, this inevitably creates an unrealistic expectation that all DMs must strive to match his skill level. This can lead to great disappointment when a player encounters a dungeon master who doesn't quite measure up. It is important to remember that there isn't one definitive way of DMing. Everyone has their own individual style of crafting stories and managing encounters. It can be easy to forget that Matt Mercer has played Dungeons & Dragons for many years and has developed a deep understanding of its intricacies. Not only that, but he also possesses an impressive talent and flair for presenting his stories and creating immersive worlds. Even the most experienced dungeon masters take immense amounts of time and effort to perfect their craft, and there is no substitute for dedicated practice. So, it is essential for players that they don't develop unrealistic expectations from their dungeon master regarding their performance. Everyone needs time to grow comfortable with running games. So instead of looking at other DMs through rose-tinted glasses, players should focus on supporting each other as part of an inclusive community. In recent years, Matt Mercer's impressive record and unique style of DMing have undeniably raised the stakes for all dungeon masters worldwide. It can be very disheartening for new DMs trying to emulate his level of mastery, but it is important to remember that everyone begins at the same point. Rather than comparing or competing with other DMs, it is essential to focus on developing one's own style and creativity. Matt Mercer has often stated that it took him decades of practice to get where he is today. The key to beating the Mercer effect lies in nurturing one's creativity. Every DM should strive to create their own unique approach in terms of storytelling, set design, and character interactions. This can be done by drawing inspiration from various sources: novels, movies, video games, and even other tabletop RPGs. While learning from others is important, it is also necessary to be mindful of creating an individualized experience. Copying someone else's style can lead to stagnation and frustration. Learning from experienced DMs should be done critically. Take what you find useful and build upon it with your own twist. With all this said, there is no shame in embracing one's inner Matt Mercer, but not quite getting there. After all, there can only be one. As long as players remember that every dungeon master is unique and has their own narrative style, any such comparisons will remain healthy. Number 2, rule of cool versus rule as written. Matt Mercer is also known for favoring the rule of cool, essentially bending the rules for the sake of an awesome narrative moment. While this does make for exciting moments, it can create inconsistency and sometimes upset players who meticulously follow the rules. His clear love for storytelling often takes precedence over game balance. As a result, his D&D campaigns are known for their cinematic set pieces and thrilling climaxes, which often come at the expense of game balance. Other DMs doing this can lead to situations where some players feel their characters' choices are not as impactful and that certain characters are favored over others regarding rewards. It is important to remember that Matt Mercer's approach to D&D is focused on creating an exciting narrative experience. While this sometimes means bending or even breaking the rules, it doesn't always mean that game balance will be completely thrown out the window. Ultimately, every DM's responsibility is to ensure fairness prevails and all players are sufficiently rewarded for their initiative and creativity. The key to ensuring game balance is to be mindful when presenting rewards such as loot and XP, so that all players feel fairly compensated for their efforts. It should also be noted that Matt Mercer does use mechanics such as mini-boss fights and other challenges to ensure everyone gets an equal share of rewards. Additionally, he regularly allows players to narrate how they win battles and make meaningful decisions to create a more balanced gaming experience. While Matt Mercer sometimes favors narrative over mechanics when creating stories for his campaigns, he still takes steps to ensure fairness and game balance. With the right thoughtfulness and creativity, any dungeon master can create compelling narratives without sacrificing player enjoyment. Matt Mercer's willingness to bend the rules of D&D for dramatic effect can be both a blessing and a curse. While some players appreciate his willingness to tailor the game to fit their interests, others may feel that it violates the spirit of the game or creates an unfair advantage for certain players. To ensure fairness and avoid misunderstandings, DMs should strive to be transparent about altering or ignoring certain rules to create an exciting story. Players should always feel like they are being kept in the loop when the DM changes or ignores certain rules. To provide clarity, every DM should make a concerted effort to explain why they are making certain decisions. This will help players understand why their characters' actions may have different results than what is written in the rulebook and allow them to react accordingly. Each DM must remember that every player has a unique playing style and that no one should be disadvantaged due to their favored approach. Suppose they notice that one player benefits from their rule-bending decisions more than others. In that case, they should take steps to ensure everyone's character is treated fairly and equally rewarded for their efforts. At the end of the day, a DM's goal is always to create an enjoyable gaming experience for everyone involved. By respecting the rulebook yet still allowing creative freedom within its framework, all participants in his campaigns can feel satisfied with their character's progress and story arcs without sacrificing any of D&D's classic charm. While it is perfectly acceptable and even encouraged for dungeon masters such as Matt Mercer to bend or ignore certain rules to create an exciting narrative experience. Number 3, stealing the spotlight. Mercer's NPC, non-player character creations, are frankly epic. However, his charming, well-crafted NPCs might hog the spotlight a tad too much. In Matt Mercer's campaigns, his non-player characters, NPCs, can often steal the spotlight from the players. His creations are known for being dynamic, charismatic, and full of life, qualities that make them a joy to experience. Unfortunately, if these NPCs start to hog the limelight too much, it can take away from the player's chances to shine. To ensure everyone in a game has an equal opportunity to take center stage, DMs must balance engaging NPCs and providing room for player agency. The first step for any DM is to develop interesting and unique characters that will help enhance their campaign setting without overshadowing the PCs. This means creating NPCs who don't always have all the answers or perfect solutions. Instead, they should be flawed characters who can offer advice but ultimately rely on players to decide how best to proceed. Once the NPCs are established, it is then important for DMs to consider how they use them during game sessions. Encouraging players to interact with NPCs as much as possible helps them build meaningful relationships that enrich their experience in the campaign world. However, these conversations must never become so frequent or lengthy that they distract from or delay gameplay. As such, DMs should remain conscious of how much time they spend developing each NPC's story arc during playtime. Doing so will help prevent any single character from becoming overly dominant. You don't want to overdo it. Finally, a DM can ensure no one character takes precedence over any others by granting each NPC a unique role within their campaign world, rather than relying on generic archetypes like quest giver or villainous mastermind. Doing so allows players to understand each character's motivations and interests while giving them added agency when interacting with those characters throughout their adventures. By striking this balance between engaging NPCs and giving room for players' actions and ideas, everyone playing will have a better gaming experience. DMs are playing the game too, after all. Number 4, an emphasis on performance. Matt Mercer's background as a voice actor greatly influences his DMing style. While this creates a highly immersive experience, it also sets a precedent that might make some players uncomfortable. DMs should be wary of following his example. His background as a voice actor and theatrical performer has always been a major factor in his approach to DMing. His love for voice acting and showmanship is evident in how he brings life to all of the characters in his campaigns, often including voices or elaborate props to further bring them to life. While this creates an intensely immersive experience for those involved, DMs doing this in their own campaigns can also be intimidating for players who may have a different level of comfort with performing. To ensure everyone feels comfortable enough to contribute without feeling anxious about their performance, a DM should take care when introducing these elements into their games. They should remind players that they do not need to use elaborate voices or props that don't feel up to the task. Engaging with the story and characters is more important than anything else. And what matters most is that everyone enjoys themselves. That being said, players who wish to put on an extravagant display should be encouraged and praised for doing so. It helps create an environment where everyone can feel included and appreciated regardless of their level of participation. Additionally, every DM should ensure that all participants know any expectations placed on them before starting a game session. This includes any rules regarding table etiquette or role-playing guidelines that may be established beforehand. Clearly outlining this information ahead of time will help squelch any potential anxiety caused by uncertainty or fear of judgment from other players. Ultimately, each DM's primary goal should be providing a fun, safe space where every participant can enjoy their time around the table without feeling intimidated by another player's performance skills, or lack thereof. Number 5, information overload. While Matt Mercer's detailed world building is commendable, following his example can occasionally lead to an overload of information that may overwhelm players. A DM's passion for world building can sometimes overshadow the immediate plot of their campaigns, leading to confusion or a loss of engagement from players. While this is understandable given the scope of their creations, they should remember that the main focus should remain on narrative progression and character arcs, not on memorizing intricate lore. To find a balance between world building and gameplay, each DM should introduce complex background information in smaller chunks as needed. This will give players enough context to continue understanding the narrative while avoiding information overload. They can also focus more on dynamic elements of their world that can be changed by player choices rather than fixed ones. This allows for a greater degree of player agency and makes the game world feel more alive and believable. Finally, all DMs should always take the time to listen to what is being said by their players during play sessions. Their observations are often incredibly insightful and may help them better design future encounters or consider other story elements that had gone unnoticed. Remember, dear listener, while we've been playfully nitpicking at Matt Mercer's DMing style, the spirit behind this critique is one of good-natured fun and the continual striving for improvement that's part and parcel of the world of D&D. Even the great Mercer can improve, just as we can. So let's roll those dice and see where our story takes us. And there you have it, folks. This epic journey comes to a close. But don't worry, I've got plenty more where that came from. If you enjoyed venturing with us today, remember to smash that like button like a barbarian in a rage. Your likes help this channel grow and make sure more adventurers like you join our party. And speaking of parties, want to ensure you never miss the call to adventure? It's simple. Just hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Consider it your personal sending stone, bringing you direct messages from our realm. Joining our subscriber community ensures you're the first to know when we upload new content and helps keep this channel going. Your support means the world to me. Until our next rendezvous, remember, may your rolls be high, your adventures epic, and your stories legendary. Now go forth and create your own tales worth telling. See you next time, adventurers.